We are back on the Rational Boomer podcast. Hopefully, your day is going well. It is Friday if you're listening on the podcast, but you should know we are doing a Substack Live. It's been a little while since we've done one, and I wanted to get back on here and just you and I talk. As I've said before, we get a lot of people coming in on the Substack Lives, and that's very important. I need your interaction, I need your questions, your comments, and all those sorts of things in order to make this worth listening to. So by all means, check in with us here on the Substack Live. There is so much shit going on, a lot of crazy shit. One thing I wanted to bring up before we get into all the other stuff, and this leads us into a topic that we'll talk more about later too, of course. But I've often said one of the reasons why I don't mind doing Substack because I don't run into too many Trump-ophobes, which is good, which says a lot about the people on Substack. A lot of better crowd than, say, TikTok. Like TJ says, less Trump-ophobes. Lady Moore says, hi. Hey, Lady Moore. Um, I posted something about the Epstein file and Joe Biden and Donald Trump. This person, I think it's called Veritates or whatever the fuck he's called. I've since blocked him because I responded to him and then he responded just stupid shit. And frankly, I don't have time, and I know you don't have time to deal with stupid shit. And frankly, I don't have any desire to argue with Trump-ophobes. They can't comprehend, they can't grasp truth or justice or anything like that. So I don't typically bother with them. But he offered the compelling question, well, if the Epstein files weren't bad for Biden, why didn't he release them when he was in office? I said, that's a very good question. Let's talk about that. I said, first of all, Jeffrey Epstein was convicted, jailed, and died in Donald Trump's term. So the real question is, when it was fresh in people's minds, when it had just finished, why didn't Donald Trump release it? Why, in fact, didn't Donald Trump release it? And then I'm responding to why Biden didn't do it. Well, I don't know why Biden didn't do it. The fact of the matter is Biden's administration is far different than Trump's administration. Trump controls everything. Joe Biden was hands off the DOJ. Merrick Garland was the one that would have made that choice, which is the way it should be. Now, Merrick Garland, we've already talked about him being kind of weak and not a very good attorney general. In fact, I hold him responsible for most of everything that's going on today, because had he done his job, we wouldn't have had to deal with Donald Trump at all. Harrison says, hello, Boomer, love your podcast. Thank you very much. You can get it on Spotify, you can get it on YouTube, video, audio, whatever you want. I hope you check it out. So anyway, he was asking me why Joe Biden didn't expose it. First of all, the case was done. Epstein was dead. Joe Biden comes in. He's got a lot of shit he's got to fix up. That wasn't his deal. Like how Donald Trump says, well, that war's not my war. That case wasn't Joe Biden's case. And the Democrats weren't the ones crying and whining about getting the evidence of it. It was the Republican. And for some reason, Donald Trump didn't expose any of that information. And I said Joe Biden had to get in and get working to bring the economy back. And the guy responded, he said, see, I told you he'd talk about the economy. Well, what a joke. Well, you apparently don't remember the economy in 2020. Stock market was at 30,000 points, which is much lower than it was when Joe Biden left. We were floundering. We were coming out of COVID. And if you remember, Donald Trump is the only president in recent memory to lose jobs in the 4 years that he was in office. He lost 2.5 million jobs. So, yeah, the economy was a little fucked up. And it was because of Donald Trump. Now, some people will say, well, with COVID, it wasn't his fault. No. COVID was his fault. COVID would never have been that dramatic, that big, had Donald Trump done one thing that any other president would have done. It doesn't matter what it was, just do anything. He called it a hoax. He called it a joke. He said it would go away. All of that is lies, and then 1 million people die. So COVID and the economy that COVID left behind hangs directly around Donald Trump's neck. But this is so typical of Trumplefucks. They want to pass it off to Joe Biden. Hey, dumb fucks, Joe Biden isn't the president, hasn't been the president for 7 months. The Republicans are the ones that desperately want to see what's in that evidence. Guess who's the president now? Donald Trump. He promised you he would expose that information, and now he won't. Doesn't that seem a little fucking suspicious? I mean, are you too stupid, too slow-witted to not understand what's going on here? Clearly you are. So this guy who came to my my page and made comments, I blocked him because I'm not necessarily fearful of him. I would have loved to have had him come up here, and I would love to talk to the dumb fuck. He would never have done it, though. They all talk a big game until they have to confront somebody, and they're not good with confrontation. You know why? Because they're actually cowardly fucking snowflakes. That's what they are. All right, Spacer7567 says Alaskans should be ashamed amongst those who supported Trump. Yeah, you're right. And of course, we've got this meeting in Alaska today, if you're listening to the podcast, tomorrow, if you're on the live. And that's going to be interesting. I did see some interesting video, though. There's a lot of projections going on buildings, like no kings in Alaska, and it had Putin and Donald Trump, both with crowns on. I think Putin had a Burger King crown on. They had a lot of stuff going there. So while Alaska is highly Republican, there are plenty of people out there that don't like either one of these motherfuckers. So the response and the reception probably won't be great. Gabrielle Turi says he's so incompetent on every level. Yeah, he's actually nothing more than a fucking child. That's really what he is. He's a child, and he reacts. He's emotional. He doesn't think about anything he does. You know, like the idea of saying, we've got to get in there and get the Epstein files, and then say, no, we can't, and then saying it's a Democratic hoax. Well, if it's a Democratic hoax, why wouldn't you release it? And why wouldn't have Joe Biden released it? If he put all that work in to hoax this thing up, why didn't he use it? Brent says Gavin Newsom has sparked a fire. Yes, he has sparked a fire. And, you know, I don't know if Gavin Newsom is the best choice for president of the United States in 2028, but he's the only one showing the fight that's necessary. Here's what we know about Texas. The special session ended today. So I understand the Democrats are coming back from their respective areas to come back to Texas. Now, presumably, Greg Abbott is just going to put up another special session and they'll pass the gerrymandering. And I hope they do, because that will set off the dominoes where Democrats do the same thing. And we had Gavin Newsom giving a speech, talking pretty tough, like we should be doing at this point, and pushing back and say, we're going to start the process now to gerrymander the state of California. If you lay back on it, we'll lay back on it. But if you don't, we're going after this full throttle. Now, the Republicans are whining about it. Well, that's not democratic. See, that's the thing, is they have reasons why they can do things that are unethical. But when somebody does it back, they cry and whine because, again, they're cowardly little whiny fucking snowflakes. This is what we've got to do. This is how you beat cowards. You slap the taste out of their mouth, you knock them on their ass, and then when they're down, you make sure you keep them down. That's really what we've got to do. And the Democrats really haven't had the stomach for it as of late, or ever. So now that we're seeing it coming out of Gavin Newsom, I'm hoping that some other people say, well, that worked. Maybe I should do it too. Yeah, you fucking think? Spacer says the thing about Alaska is they are Republican mostly because the residents mostly get kickbacks from the oil market in the state. Yeah, there's a lot of, in spite of the fact that the Republicans don't like helping people out, those red states, including Alaska, get a lot of motherfucking help from the government. When Donald Trump goes up there, some of those people have lost some of their funding. They may not be too happy with Donald Trump at this point. Gavin Newsom's not playing. Good for him. Well, he's got nothing to lose at this point. I don't believe he's running for governor, or even if he can run for governor, good chance he's going to run for president. people have been saying there is no real leader on the Democratic side, so he's got an opportunity here. He can go head to head with Greg Abbott and Donald Trump. The interesting thing is a lot of people are afraid to going head to head with Donald Trump because they're afraid of what he might do to them. Gavin Newsom don't give a fuck, and that's what it's going to take. Fear is our enemy for the Democrats. If you're afraid, you fucking already lost when you're dealing with cowards and bullies. So we need somebody with some courage, somebody who's ready to fight back. And at this point, the one person that's doing it the most is Gavin Newsom. TJ says Newsom has been trolling Diaper Donnie on X. Yeah, he has. If you've noticed, he's been posting things on X in all capital letters just to piss off Donald Trump. And that's the one thing I do like about Gavin Newsom. He understands how to get to Donald Trump. It's not by saying he's a criminal or he's a cheater or anything like that. It's by making fun of him and by embarrassing him. And Gavin Newsom is very good at that. He's very polished. He's very articulate, and he's doing a hell of a job. Personally, I think whether the Texans do the gerrymandering or not, Gavin Newsom should go ahead and do it. And I think Illinois should do it, and New York should do it, and just catch them on their heels and knock their asses down. We're going to fuck around. Let's fuck around. There is no law anymore. There is no norms. There is nothing. So why should we act like there is? I wonder if Newsom is in a communication with Obama, hopefully. I don't know. It seemed like Obama's kind of stayed out of things, maybe on purpose, maybe because they don't want him in the mix. I don't know. It would be interesting to see how Obama would handle this situation. If this was first term Obama, he'd probably handle it like all the other Democrats and just lay back and be the bigger person. Toward the end, I think he was more of a fighter. And now that he's no longer president, I think he is a little more in your face. But Obama needed to get involved sometime back when Biden was running and back when Kamala was running. And he seems to not be willing to do that. So I'm not even thinking about Obama or Biden or Clinton or any of these people. They're all past presidents. They really don't matter anymore because this is a different era, different age. We need young people who are ready to fight. We don't need the old guard. Isabel says, you just got praised what Texas is doing in some podcast. Who got praised? Oh, Bren brings up Hunter Biden had a laugh at Melania threatening him to sue. That's so Trumpian, isn't it? Hunter Biden was talking about a story written by Michael Wolff, I believe. And Michael Wolff claims that Melania was introduced by Jeffrey Epstein. Now, he didn't say anything bad about it. He wasn't even making a statement. He was quoting a book. And that apparently pissed off Donald Trump and Melania, too. And they said, if you don't apologize and pull that down, we're going to sue you for $1 billion. Yeah, you do that, motherfucker. Your lawsuits haven't done well for the past several times you've tried it. The thing about it is when Hunter Biden heard about it and he was being interviewed, the guy asked him, he said, so are you going to apologize? And Hunter Biden says, yeah, that's not going to fucking happen. Thank you. She has no ground to sue him. He was quoting a book, and it's probably true. And if you want to go to court, then you're going to have to bring out a bunch of evidence. They'll bring out a bunch of evidence. And guess what? They'll find out you were connected somehow through Jeffrey Epstein. Maybe not directly, but through the same channels. Spacer says, what do you think of the fight between MTG and Laura Loomer? I've been seeing that she's trying to start her own MAGA movement with Steve Bannon, LOL. Well, I hope these two cows go at it at full force and they eat one another's career, which is weird because Loomer doesn't even have a career. She's a failed social media influencer, I guess, but she's got the ear of Donald Trump. God knows why. I don't even want to know why Donald Trump gives her any attention, but neither one of them is worth a shit. Neither one of them has an average intellect. They're just spewing bullshit. So let them fight. Let the girls fight. Fuck them. All right, Donnie is grasping at straws at this point. Yeah, what you're seeing with Donald Trump right now is absolute panic. And when narcissists get in a panic situation, they don't know what to do. I mean, they're fucking terrified. And this is a very uh, embarrassing time for Donald Trump, and that means he's going to do anything he can. But it's dangerous too because he's going to do anything, like invade Washington D.C. or God knows what. We're going to have to deal with some shit with this guy as he goes down, but he's ultimately going down because he is grasping at straws. Obama praised what Texas is doing. Interesting. Now, see, this is why I'm not. I'd have to see that to understand what the context of that is. But I was a big fan of Obama. I thought he was a good president. But since then, I haven't been that impressed by anything he's done to try to uh, engage in politics today. Maybe he doesn't want to at all. But I got a bad taste in my mouth when they were at that funeral, remember? And Obama sat next to Trump, and they're chortling away like they're buddies. I got to tell you, in this world, in this time, anybody that buddies up with Donald Trump, whether it's fake or whether it's just for a few moments, it's not going to go well for you. But again, like Biden, Obama is not the president anymore. Let's with all due respect, Obama is inconsequential at this point. He's not going to run for president again. He's not the president. He's just some guy sitting at home. He's a citizen of the country like we are. He can say whatever he wants. We can be disappointed by what he says, but who really fucking cares? Gabriel Turi says there was some Zoom call with Obama and Texas Dems today, I believe. Oh, okay. So are you saying that he was supporting the Texas Democrats or he was supporting the Texas Republicans for redistricting? See, that's the confusion there. I thought you were talking about the Republican. Well, if you're supporting the Democrats, that's fine. But here's the thing you have to understand about the Democrats. The Democrats go out, they delay the vote, but they got to come back eventually. All they did is delay it at this point. Now, hopefully it gave enough time to people like Gavin Newsom and such to mount another attack. But the Democrats were always going to have to come back, and they were always going to pass this gerrymandering bill. And honestly, I'm not as worried about the gerrymandering as maybe some people are, because Texas is already gerrymandered to the fucking hilt. They're talking about getting 5 seats. If you look at what's really going on around the country, there's thought that the Democrats might gain 40 seats. So if it was 35 seats instead of 40, so what? As long as they get the power, that's the important thing. That would be disastrous for Donald Trump. So if Obama's supporting the Democrats in Texas, I'd expect that. He should be. It'd be interesting to see if he supports Gavin Newsom, though, because there's a lot of people out there saying, well, the Democrats shouldn't do it. Two wrongs don't make a right. It's not good for democracy. Yeah, well, we played it your way for fucking 10 years and it hasn't worked. So it's time to fight back. Gavin Newsom knows it, and everybody in this country knows it. That's why the Democrats have such a poor approval rating, because they've seen the Democrats sit with their thumbs up their asses doing nothing while Donald Trump is running roughshod across this country. People in this country want to see the Democrats fight. It's surprising to me it took this long, and it's a governor of the state of California to figure it out. Nobody in Congress has yet figured it out. So we'll see what happens with Texas. I presume they will be back Monday. I'm going to be interested to see if they, in fact, arrest these people. It's a civil arrest. They're not going to go on trial. They're not going to be put in jail. They're going to look stupid along this process. The being out for the period of time they were, that's fine. It'll be interesting to see um, whether or not Gavin Newsom's threat is going to carry any weight. I'm guessing not, because you know the Republicans, they just keep doubling down and doubling down. Um, Obama sounded like his messaging was on par with Newsom. Sorry, I can't find the link to share that right away. Something to watch anyways. Well, I'll check it out. You don't have to share the link. We can probably find it. Well, I would hope he was doing that. But, you know, when you look at people trying to submarine Joe Biden when he was running for office, like the Obamas and George Clooney's and all this stuff, I really have a bad taste in my mouth for some of this shit because I know what goes on behind closed doors. A little sketchy and a little shady. And whatever they were working on when Joe Biden decided to step aside, it fucked up the whole election and we lost the election. So I'm not too confident in their ideas. Vincent Johnny, with American PBS going down, parents need to keep watch of what their kids are watching with Prague U. Dennis Prague, I think is what you're talking about. Yeah. Um, Wanting to cause history misinformation. Well, here's what I will tell you. A lot of people are under the impression that PBS will go away because Donald Trump pulled some of the funding. They fundraise a lot of money. They won't have as much money as they used to. However, PBS isn't probably going away. They're still going to be there. The programming from the Republicans, if you're letting your kids watch that, somebody needs to call the county because that's pretty fucked up. I would hope that's not what's happening. Spacer7567 says Trump is pulling every down ballot candidate for 2026. Here in Ohio, they're worried about their governor's race here in Ohio with the whack job Ramaswamy. Yeah, I hope they run Ramaswamy because he will lose. That's the one thing you notice in past elections. If somebody's a rampant Trump humper, a little crazy, they tend to lose. And with all the damage that Donald Trump has done and will do between now and 2026, Republicans aren't going to be that popular. It's going to be a big problem for the Republicans, not only in the not only in Congress, but in legislatures, in states, and governorships. There's going to be some switches from Republican to Democrat, no question about it. That's the weird thing about it. These people, Republicans, are doing incredible damage to their own party. And the fact is, they know they're doing that, yet they still do that. Every day they come closer to getting their ass kicked worse in 2026, but they still do it. The fuck are they thinking? Do they not care? Do they think they can game the situation so that they win anyway? I don't believe any of that is true. I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, take, for example, if you're listening on the podcast, Donald Trump is meeting with Putin in Alaska to try to work out a deal for this Russia-Ukraine war. Now, remember, to you Trumplefucks, Donald Trump said he would wrap up that war and get peace in 24 hours. 24 hours, he said he'd get that. Well, we're 7 months in, and he's no closer than we were before Donald Trump got elected president. So, not too swift when it comes to putting these people together. He's going to have a peace summit tomorrow, with Vladimir Putin, but not Zelensky from Ukraine. How's that fucking work? Zelensky has said there is no peace agreement unless I'm at the table. Why isn't he at the table? Because Vladimir Putin doesn't want him there, because he's a gutless piece of shit too. So Donald Trump started this whole thing about this meeting for a couple of reasons. First of all, he needed a distraction from Jeffrey Epstein. Not working. But it all started because his special envoy, Witkoff, told a lie. Witkoff said that Vladimir Putin had agreed on trading territories. They keep what they've got in Ukraine, and Ukraine keeps what they have in Russia. But Vladimir Putin said very clearly, that's not fucking true. We aren't doing that. I won't agree to that. So Donald Trump looks like a shithead because his guy lies and puts him in a bad situation. He's already planned to have this summit. He needs the distraction. So even though it doesn't make any sense and is probably a bad idea that he go in and do this summit, he's going to do it anyway because Donald Trump's brilliant. He thinks he can talk his way into and out of anything that he wants to. But we know that's not true because we know the summit is going to be an absolute shit show and he's going to embarrass himself and embarrass the country. There's no question. So he's going to go in there and he's going to want Vladimir Putin to bend to him. We know this because just earlier today, Donald Trump said, "Well, they better come to this meeting with a with ready to settle for a peace agreement, or there'll be serious consequences." Oh yeah, Donnie? Gonna be some serious consequences? I think you said that when you gave him a 90-day deadline. And then when that didn't work, you gave him a 10-day deadline, which, by the way, ended 10 days ago. And what have you done? You haven't done fucking anything. And when you come out of this meeting, you will have accomplished nothing. You will look stupid. You will look weak. Vladimir Putin has been and will continue playing you any way he wants. I mean, as it is, every time you talk to him about Ukraine, he then goes into Ukraine and bombs the shit out of it. He's disrespecting you every time you talk to him, Donnie. He's making fun of you. He thinks you're a joke. He knows you're a joke. We all know you're a joke. So you're going to go in there because you're caught and you don't know what to do. Instead of saying, fucked up, I'm not doing that, you double down, triple down, and every time you do, you fuck up. What do you make of this? I was watching the creator worrying about how Trump is gone. There'll be a vacuum in the airwaves. Democrats are terrible at maintaining the narrative, and worry is whether a new whack job will try to fill the gap. It may be too soon to discuss this, in my opinion, but it's a prospect. I assume you're presuming when Donald Trump is no longer president that Democrats won't be able to keep it up. I understand your point there, but I don't think that's going to be an issue. There is nobody that really can replace Donald Trump and command the kind of power Donald Trump has. If he leaves, then it's J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance is a weak-ass dipshit. He's not powerful. He's not charismatic. Trumplefucks, I don't even think, like him. He's easily manipulated. And while it's not optimal for him to be president of the United States, I think it's a far better situation than when Donald Trump is president. Give an example. When they're trying to pass a bill and some Republicans don't want to pass it, Donald Trump gets on the phone and threatens them and does all kinds of whatever he does to get them to pass it, and they do. Do you really think that if J.D. Vance calls one of these members of Congress or a senator, says, you better do this or else, do you think they respect him enough or fearful of him enough to get it done? I don't think so. I think if we cut off the head of the snake, meaning Donald Trump, everything with MAGA weakens, and they're going to look at this as an opportunity to try to rehabilitate themselves so they don't get killed in 2026 and 2028. Is it going to be great if Donald Trump goes and J.D. Vance takes over? No, it's not. But I think it will be a little calmer and a little easier when he's gone. Because the thing about it is the Republicans got to hate Donald Trump at this time. He's easily manipulated because he's such a dumbass. Pat him on the back, pat him on the butt if you dare, and he'll do whatever you tell him to do. But Donald Trump has one other factor that makes it difficult to deal with Donald Trump. He gets angry, he gets nervous, he gets embarrassed, and then he goes off half-cocked and does whatever the fuck he wants, no matter how crazy. And that drives the Republicans as nuts as it does Democrats. They don't want somebody who's a wild hare that just does fucking anything. J.D. Vance is probably better behaved in that regard. Jillian Marie, all he does is threaten everybody. That's his only strategy. He's a bully. So he threatens you, presumes you're gonna back down, then he wins. If you don't back down, then he threatens you harder. If you don't back down, he threatens you harder. But if you continue to stand up to him, he can do nothing but lose because that's all he's got. That's why Putin fucking kicks his ass. That's why Zelensky kicks his ass. He needs you to back down. And when he was in school and in business, people did because he had all the money. He's not the big dog anymore. There are oligarchs out there that are pissed off at him too and pushing him around a little bit. When he got on a phone call with people in the heads of state in Europe regarding this meeting with Putin, yeah, rail. They were talking shit about him. There was really nothing he could say. But when he got off, he says, I didn't really like that. Well, I bet you didn't. Because these motherfuckers aren't bending down, kissing your fucking feet. They know you're a dumbass. They know you're dangerous. And they're trying to point it out to you. If you were smart, you'd pay attention. But Donald Trump is, of course, not very motherfucking smart. Spacer says he tried to be a big madman by sending ICE to Newsom's press conference. Yeah, that's the funny thing. I don't know what his reasoning for it. We know ICE is in Los Angeles. Newsom gives his press conference basically saying, Texas, fuck you. We're going to do the same thing. So what does Donald Trump do? He sends ICE to intimidate. Oh, that was intimidating. You know what that does more than anything? It just points out how his fuck-ups continue. He basically gave Newsom more validity to say what he was doing. Did you really think Newsom was going to back down? See, that's the thing about Newsom I do like. He's not afraid of Donald Trump, nor should he be. But he's not afraid of Donald Trump. And he will shove it back in his face. So send out ICE. Send out the National Guard. They haven't done fuck all in California. They are doing fuck all in Washington, D.C. They got checkpoints. They're checking for broken headlights and DUIs and that sort of thing. Is that really where we should have the National Guard working, doing that sort of stuff? Is that what they're for? Fucking stupid ass motherfucker. Kelvin Stevens told you all this was going to happen way back when I tried to tell you on your lives on TikTok, block me, and then I tried to warn you and explain the plan. It's the same plan used in every country in recent past. Well, I will tell you this, Kelvin, I didn't block you. Sometimes people do get blocked by accident, and if that happens, reach out to TJ or me, and we'll check into it, and we can unblock you. That does happen from time to time. Sometimes in TikToks, it gets wild and woolly. But I will give you this. And I've said this a number of times on the podcast and on TikTok. In terms of me, Eric, and a lot of people, we were absolutely wrong. And I have no qualms of admitting I'm wrong. I've said this before. I've been married 42 years. I'm wrong every fucking day, apparently, according to my wife. So it's not a new thing to me to be wrong. Again, I can only take logic and common sense and see how I presume it's going to work out based on that. Well, we found out on November 5th that logic and common sense aren't playing a factor in this whole fucking thing, so that makes it tough. But where I was wrong was that once he got elected, I presumed the Democrats certainly, and even the Republicans, wouldn't let him get too far out of hand, get too crazy, because it would be damaging for the Republicans in the 2026 election, and it would be damaging for the Democrats generally. I thought there would be some guardrails, some law, some norm, something. I didn't think he'd be allowed to get away with this much stuff. But as I say, I was fucking wrong about that, okay? So, Kelvin, you win. I lose on that one. But who gives a fuck? Here we are. We got to figure out what to do. Yeah, it's gone farther than I imagined it would. Maybe it was hopeful thinking, wishful thinking, or maybe it was just logic and common sense suggests that maybe the Republicans might ultimately do the right thing. Well, here we are. Fuck me running. They haven't done the right thing yet. Do you think he'll actually meet with Putin tomorrow? And what will come of that meeting? He will definitely meet with Putin tomorrow. Nothing will come out of that meeting. He wants to come out and say he has some kind of agreement for peace so he can try to get the Nobel Peace Prize. By the way, you know why he wants to get the Nobel Peace Prize so bad? Do you know why? Because Obama's got the Nobel Peace Prize, and he wants to be better than Barack Obama. Barack Obama lives in Donald Trump's head rent free. You can just see it by the way he talks about Obama. Obama's not a factor anymore. He's not consequential. He's not the president. He's not even in politics. Yeah, the meeting will happen, but here's something interesting that I heard. There was supposed to be a dual press conference after the uh, after the meeting, where they both come out, like like in Helsinki, and how well that went for Donald Trump. Um, Now he's saying, "I'm not sure if we'll have the press conference afterwards or not. Um, we'll have to see. If it goes well, we'll have the press conference. If it doesn't, we won't." So probably won't have the press conference afterwards because it won't go well. In fact, Donald Trump has been trying to lower expectations for some time. He thought he'd go in there, wrap this bitch up, come out with peace, and get his Nobel Peace Prize. But here's the deal. He's seeing what's happening. His own guy lied to him. He knows Vladimir Putin is playing him. So now he's not feeling as strong about this summit. Normally, when Donald Trump wouldn't feel strong about something, he just wouldn't do it. But now he's stuck doing it. He's going into this saying, well, I think we got about a 25% chance of coming out of this with good news. Sorry, Daddy, you don't have 25%. You have zero chance of coming out of this with good news. You've got Vladimir Putin, who insists on taking control of Ukrainian territory. You have Zelensky, who refuses to give up any territory. There's going to be no agreement. And you don't even motherfucking have, um, you don't even have, uh, um, Zelensky coming to the fucking meeting. How are you supposed to get anything fucking done? Scott Hope says he was a school bully, but I'm not surprised. Um, yeah, he probably was the bully because Daddy had a lot of money. But let's be honest, Donald Trump is a pussy ass bitch. He's not a tough guy. He's a coward. He'll get in your face. And I gotta believe that in school at some point somebody just said "fuck you, Trump" and blasted him. Somebody had to have at least a couple of times. I can't imagine Donald Trump tough in any sense of the word. Scott Hope says, at Lady Moore, I have a hard time believing Putin will leave Russia. Putin has an ICC warrant for war crimes. Yeah, he does. I don't know how big an issue that is because America doesn't recognize that at all. So I don't think he's at risk in the United States. Spacer says, I like what Beto said. Democrats need to be a 50-state party and start giving resources to states and try to win everywhere. I don't see Beto winning elections, but he could be a campaign chairman for the DNC. He's a fighter. I've been disappointed with him. Yeah, yeah, I feel the same way about Beto. I think Beto's a strong politician, a smart guy, a good fundraiser, a good rally point for a lot of people, but he's lost 2 elections. Of course, he's done that in Texas. It's not surprising given how fucked up Texas is. But I don't know him running for election right now is the best thing. I mean, look at Stacey Abrams down in Georgia. She is probably one of the best Democratic politicians the Democratic Party has. She doesn't hold an office. She does a lot of work. She does a lot of help. Um, but she lost 2 elections too. She's got to lay back a little bit and try to rehabilitate and work behind the scenes. And she's been amazing behind the scenes. So maybe Beto can do the same thing Stacey Abrams has been doing. When we're wrong, we learn things, so there's no shame in being wrong. There's absolutely no shame in being wrong. The people that get upset about being wrong are just egomaniacal little punks. I don't have a problem with being wrong. I don't give a fuck. But you're absolutely right. If I know anything right now, it's probably because I was wrong on a couple of other occasions. I realized what happened and learned a lesson. So there's a lot of people that are just terrified. I can't be wrong. I can't be wrong. Well, you're a dumbass then, because I guarantee you at some point you're going to be wrong, and I'm going to be wrong. I'm not a fucking psychic here. I can only take a look at the situation and give my best guess based on what I know, and speak it, and then allow other people to put in their suggestions. Um, for the gentleman who said he was blocked for disagreeing with me that it was going to turn out differently than me, I wouldn't block you for that. I don't have a problem with people having a differing opinion. Now, if you're a Trumplefuck saying stupid shit, yeah, you're fucking gone. You're gone. We don't need you. Um, Gabrielle says, I heard someone say the National Guard is in D.C. more to protect Trump from being ousted. Eh, Donald Trump is seeing a lot of upheaval around the country. There's a lot of protest, big protest, even in D.C. going on right now. But frankly, those protests wouldn't have been going on if he didn't bring out the National Guard. But there may be something to that. Donald Trump understands that he's losing on just about every level, and he's maybe preparing for kind of a pitchfork and torches day. Will always talks about that. People are going to be coming out with pitchforks and torches, and people are getting to that point. People are getting tired of getting shit on, getting things taken away, being marginalized, being rounded up, kidnapped, and sent out of the country. There's only so far you can do something like that, and Donald Trump has certainly pushed it to the limit. I think Trump will sell out Ukraine. I think he will try to sell out Ukraine. That's how Donald Trump is. He sits down with somebody and they go, you make a good point. And then he'll go sit with somebody else and go, you make a good point. He's a dumb motherfucker. So he'll go in there, and Vladimir Putin, because he's more intelligent than Donald Trump, will convince him that he's right. And then Donald Trump will go back to Zelensky trying to sell him on what he thinks now is a good idea. And Zelensky will say, fuck yourself, do this. And then he'll say, you got a good point. He'll go back to Vladimir Putin and he'll say, fuck yourself. Donald Trump is a failure in everything he does. Everything he does, he's a failure. This meeting today or Saturday or Friday, it's going to be a failure because the only way he wins in his mind is if he comes up with some kind of peace agreement. It's just not going to happen. We're not even close to a peace agreement. And if Donald Trump is your mediator, you don't want a peace agreement because he doesn't have the wherewithal to put anything to fucking together. Spacer7567 says, I wonder what Trump had to pay to get the Azerbaijan-Armenian deal. I don't know if Donald Trump is paying anything. Somebody made the suggestion that the whole point of tariffs were to go into each of these countries and cut deals for his kids or his businesses. It was kind of a bit of leverage to get personal deals. Now, normal situations, I'd say that's crazy. But we're seeing him come out of Saudi Arabia and England and other places with deals for his company. So that may very well be why he's doing that sort of thing, because he's trying to make money on the side as he typically does. Trump was nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize by a war criminal. Yeah, he's been nominated a few times. Doesn't mean he's going to get it, I don't think. I mean, put it this way. Donald Trump gave out the Medal of Freedom to Rush Limbaugh and some other dipshits. Pretty much cheapens and makes that award worthless. I can't imagine that the people awarding the Nobel Peace Prize is going to wreck their credibility and legitimacy by giving him an award. Other people have done some fucked up, stupid stuff and have bent to him, but I just don't see them doing that. He hates that so many people love and respect Obama. He's doing everything he can try to tarnish President Obama's reputation. It's comical. It is comical. Because what's it gain? First of all, you can't do it. You can't you can't change the facts in those 8 years he was president. You can say he did a bad job, but he didn't. So say what you will, but it's not going to work. It's a bunch of noise that isn't getting you anywhere. Trump isn't even wired so he can come close to a person like Obama. Donald Trump's not wired where he can come close to any normal human being. He's an aberration. He's a weirdo. He's mentally diminished and mentally disabled. There's no question about it. There's something mentally wrong there, um, and it shows up every day. Spacer 7567 says, I meant Beto should be the DNC chair or something in that area. Kevin Martin has been somewhat disappointing. Yeah, that Kevin Martin came from Minnesota. He talked tough at first. I haven't seen any action with regards to that. I don't know if they would switch DNC. I don't know if they do that every year or whatever they do. But Ken Martin talked tough. I haven't seen anything yet, so we'll see. Have you heard the rumors of Cuomo and his campaign being in contact with Trump? Wouldn't be surprised you've seen his campaign. It's very Trumpian. I don't think that's a rumor. I think that's a fact. I've heard it from several sources. On Cuomo has been in contact with Donald Trump. That should get him a lot of Democratic votes. That should be good. Um, Maybe he's thinking the Republican that's running for mayor in New York is Curtis Sliwa. Remember that dumb motherfucker? He's the one that had that band of vigilantes that used to roam the streets of New York and save people. He's kind of a fucking goofball, kind of a Trump humper. Maybe Donald Trump isn't feeling comfortable with Sliwa, so hopefully, maybe he's going to try to convince Republicans to vote for Cuomo. Fuck, it's a mess. You got Cuomo and Eric Adams, both absolute criminals, and they're running against Mondani, and they do nothing but give Mondani shit because he happens to be Muslim. Fuck you. We're dealing in a different world. We're dealing with a younger crowd, a younger electorate. You old people can cry and whine all you want. You're going to get what you get. Russia is closer to a complete collapse than we know. Putin is grasping at straws as much as Trump is. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Russia has been hanging by a thread for a long time. Their economy is absolutely fucked. We thought that they had this powerful army. Clearly they don't. It's weak, it's antiquated, and it's just not working. So yeah, Putin and Russia are in tough shape right now. They need something. I don't know if Vladimir Putin needs to keep the war going, much like Benjamin Netanyahu, or not, but he needs to come up with something. And he's probably going to try to cut some kind of deal with Donald Trump. Donnie says he's going to give him sanctions and tariffs. Well, we don't import much from Russia, and tariffs and sanction. Don't we already have a bunch of that shit? How much more are you going to do? Hasn't done anything at this point. What do you think about Canadian media owned by American trying to manufacture outrage in Nova Scotia? Hadn't heard that. I don't know what media outlet that is and who the American is. But outrage in Nova Scotia? I mean, if you want to do that, I don't know what effect that's going to have on America. We're going to get a bunch of people down here. Oh, those Nova Scotia people have a good idea. Let's agree with that. Yeah, I'm not worried about that shit. Everybody's trying to jump on board and gain some traction because of Donald Trump. Pretty soon they'll be running away from that motherfucker. The Nobel Peace Prize is determined by a council in Sweden. No way he's going to get it. No, he's not going to get it. And then he's going to whine and cry like a little pussy ass bitch does. And he's not going to get it. There's no way he's going to get it. If Trump gets the Nobel Peace Prize, I'll eat my dog. Well, don't worry about it. Don't eat your dog. Spacer 7567 says Curtis Sliwa talks in the third person and wears a beret like every day is a war. Yeah, he's been like that for 40 years. Don't you remember you'd see him on like the Jenny Jones show and all those fucked up shows during the day? Yeah, he was big news for a while, but then he got in trouble, got his ass beat a couple times. Yeah, he's a nobody. If that's the best that the Republicans have to offer, they're in some deep fucking trouble. Spacer says, Gabrielle, I agree. Once Putin is gone, possibly mortally, Russia will most likely fall apart. Yeah, mortally. I kept hearing that he had this terminal disease and then wasn't long for this earth. Well, it's not happening fast enough. Uh, but the sooner the better for both of them. You hope uh, Big Mac lodged in his gullet ends it for Donnie Trump. You hope that something like that happens. Isabel says, I keep hoping his cankles get bigger and bigger. Dude needs to get the fuck out. Yeah, those ankles. He's probably wearing wider pants now because he's sensitive to that. Let's see here. Scott Hope says the red maroon beret is used by paratroopers in many different countries. Was Sliwa a paratrooper? No, he's had that beret on since the early years when you had this band of, like I say, vigilantes who had some good press for a while. Way back when they go around the streets of New York. When they'd find trouble, they'd help the people out and um, push out the criminals. It was He's been doing that a long time. Spacer, I do have a dear friend living there. It's not something I hope for, but it's true. Putin is a monster just like his bitch baby Trump. Yeah. The thing about it is when you think about Russia, think about America. If you're in Russia, they make America out to be horrible people. In America, we make Russians out to be horrible people. The bottom line is when you look at Russia, when you look at America, and you look at Israel, the people in those countries are just fine. It's the leadership. Benjamin Netanyahu is, in fact, a war criminal. He wants to continue with the war so he doesn't go to jail. Vladimir Putin is doing anything he can to hang on. And Donald Trump, we know, is a fucking absolute criminal. And he's trying to hang on at this point, too. I just hope Russia finally moves toward democracy. Well, ultimately, they might. But Vladimir Putin's going to have to go down first. They're not going to do it while he's there. He's not going to wake up some morning and get an epiphany and say, let's do democracy. Vladimir Putin is who he is. He's a despot. He's a dictator. And that's the only way it's going to be for them at this point. What else are we going to talk about? Oh, I was going to mention this. First of all, with regards to uh, the troops in Washington, D.C., what you should know about Washington, D.C., and those troops going in there, Donald Trump can only put them there for 30 days. And then in order for them to extend that, it has to be passed through Congress. Now, I don't know if Congress, the Republicans, would do that. If they do, they just fucking themselves over. So Godspeed. But Donald Trump maybe has the feeling that it won't pass. And because he thinks it won't pass, he's talking about just extending it anyway, going against the law. That shouldn't be surprising to anybody. That's all he does is break the law, go against the law, and do what the fuck he wants. It's all a matter of if somebody's willing and able to stop him. The other thing I wanted to talk about, too, as we're getting toward the end here, what you're with the effort to keep the Epstein files in the news, and we really have to do that. I don't think that's going to be a problem because the Republicans are not going to stop whining about that shit. But there's been a lot of victims coming out on television and telling their stories. And apparently, this has really upset Donald Trump in the process, really upset him. And what he's saying about them is that they're all just Democrats who hate Trump. No, Donald Trump, you don't have to be a Democrat to hate Donald Trump. A lot of people hate Donald Trump. Probably 75% of this country hates you, motherfucker, because you're a goof, you're an idiot, you're a criminal. But he's getting what I do like about that, he's seeing these women out there talking about their stories, and it's making him nervous. And that's really what we've got to do. We've got to keep him nervous, keep him scared, because as he does that, he's going to do some stupid, fucked up shit. I mean, even more so than he already does. Gabrielle says 100% boomer never thought it would happen here in the USA. Thought our masterfully constructed constitution could uphold the evil side. Yeah, that was the theory for so many years, up until you get somebody like Donald Trump to become president. And then you get an entire party, the Republican Party, complicit and allow him to do whatever the hell he wants. I mean, see, that was the point of having Congress, to give checks and balances to Donald Trump. You have three branches, they're supposed to check one another. But instead, with Donald Trump in office, you've got the judicial system, the Supreme Court, and Congress all just complicit with him. And that's why we are where we are. And that's why when we go to the elections, it's not good enough to just get the Democrat MAGA people out of the way. We got to get them all out of the way. There's a cancer spreading through the Republican Party, and it's pretty pervasive. Can't trust any of them. They'll say one thing and they'll do another. They're not trustworthy. You've got to just do away with all the Republicans if you can and start over. And then maybe they come back with some new people and they think better about the bullshit they're doing. Spacer says, make D.C. the true 51st state and give Puerto Rico the choice or referendum. Yeah, that's what we should do. But the Republicans are the ones that stop that, because presumably D.C. would be Democratic and so would Puerto Rico. So they do everything to stop that. Got to understand that the Republicans are in a situation where they know they're losing ground. They're losing a grip. Younger people are growing up, and they are going to be the majority in 2028 voting for president. Not many of them are big Republicans. There are some, because they're dumbass kids, but not enough. And they know they've got to cheat. I mean, Donald Trump is talking about all the great things he's doing. Then why is he so nervous about going in and gerrymandering Texas, a state that he should win easily, gerrymander it to try to squeeze out 5 more seats? Why? Because he knows he's going to fucking lose. That's why. And he's trying to game the situation before we get there. Not going to work, Donnie, because if you do it, Democrats will do it, and they'll just pretty much cancel out anything you try to do. That's what's going to happen. TJ, they don't want 4 more Dem senators. Yeah. I will tell you this. If when this is all said and done in 2026 and the Democrats control the House, and should they control the Senate, Donald Trump's presidency is over. I mean, he may still be in office if he still survived this long, but he'll get nothing done. And for the next 2 years, there'll be nothing but investigations and hearings televised, where evidence and bullshit will come out about Donald Trump, and it will be a daily embarrassment for him. And he will be freaking the fuck out, doing God knows what. But he won't be able to accomplish anything as long as the Republicans don't have power. Spacer says, also imagine the electoral votes Puerto Rico could offer Democrats. Democrats talk about it, but they never act also. You make a good point there. We can cry and whine about the Republicans, but the Democrats have fucked up their share. They could have codified Roe v. Wade, but they didn't do it. They've had situations where they've been able to maybe make D.C. and or Puerto Rico a state, but they've never pushed it. See, the thing is, the Democrats get money from PACs too, like AIPAC. They get lazy. They're more worried about filling their own pockets than doing their fucking job, taking care of this country and the people in it. This is what I've always said. We've got to put out the dumpster fire, that being the Republican Party. We've got to knock them completely out. But once the Democrats are in power, we got to knuckle down and keep a thumb on their neck too, because they're better than Republicans, but they have their share of problems too. And many of the problems we have today could have been fixed or they were caused by Democrats. We got to remember that. It's not good guy, bad guy. It's bad guy, less bad guy. Because none of these people have done what they're supposed to do for the people of this country, helping the middle class, the poorer class. They have done nothing there. Whenever that comes up, they say on both sides, oh, we can't afford that. Well, we can give $1 trillion to the fucking Defense Department, give $3 trillion to wealthy people. We can add $7 trillion to the debt. Everybody's cool with that. We've got to get somebody who has their head on straight and does what they're supposed to do. I hope also they don't drop the ball if the inferior court ends same-sex marriage and the Voting Rights Act. Yeah, that's going to be interesting. We're getting down toward the end here. I don't know if you heard this story. I heard it from a couple of sources. I don't know absolutely that it's true, but I hope it is. If the Supreme Court takes down same-sex marriage, if they do that, there's a couple of gay dating apps out there that have said, you do that, motherfucker, we're going to go through our app and expose every Republican who is a member of the app. We're going to expose them all. Now, again, I don't know if that's true, but I hope to God it is, and somebody needs to do it. That would cause a fucking shitstorm. And if they do something as egregious as ending same-sex marriage, there's going to be a lot of people pissed off. And those people who voted for that, in spite of the fact they might be in the LGBT community, need to be exposed. All right, I'm going to wrap things up for the Rational Boomer podcast. I want to thank you so much for joining me, spending time, participating. That's so important, and I appreciate it immensely. If you didn't hear all of the live, tell you what you can do. This live will also be the Rational Boomer podcast. You can get it on YouTube after midnight Central Time tonight. You can get it on video on YouTube. You can get it on video or audio only on Spotify. So I like doing the lives and then turn them into the podcast. Kill two birds with one stone. And it's largely due to the fact that I'm a lazy bastard. And I admit it. I'm wrong sometimes, and I tend to be lazy. So sue me. I shouldn't say that. Melania will probably sue me. Anyway, thank you very much for taking the time to listen. I hope you have a great day, great night. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.